Hello, my name is Bosko Popovic. I'm a bioenergy healing coach and a teacher. And in this video, I'm going to continue to talk about why it's important to counteract and do something about neutralizing effects of negative thoughts on your body. And in that respect, I'm going to share 5 simple techniques which, if you practice on a regular basis and you do them correctly, will enable you to effectively protect yourself from negative effects of negative thoughts and what they can do, particularly to your body, and as it causes the distortion in your body, it effectively actually causes a mental damage, which, if that is allowed to continue unimpeded, will then lead into more complex mental deviations as the time goes on. As if you watched my previous videos, you've noticed the kind of like a link that actually comes across all these videos in which I'm saying that there is no difference between mental and the so-called physical health. They are very much linked. And the true cause of all mental and the physical deviations that come through your life comes from unabated stress. And I've already done some videos about stress, but now I'm particularly going to focus on the negative thoughts, which are direct results of continued stress. So if you have not seen my previous videos, I would strongly urge you to basically review and view all these videos if you have a time, because that will give you a more generic knowledge that is needed in order to fully understand and then comprehend the actual importance of why these simple techniques will actually help you to achieve the objective of neutralizing negative effects of so-called negative thoughts on your body. That is very, very important, because the continuity of approach, which comes from understanding how to deal with stress, will actually help you to counteract and deal with the negative thoughts. So, without further ado, let's get into the so-called negative thoughts. And again, I'm not going to go again what I actually explained in my previous video, in which I've given a quite elaborate information concerning the provenance of the negative thoughts. All I will say is that the body, and in particular your current level of bioenergy circulating in the body, dictates the nature of your thoughts. In other words, the more you are mentally and physically in a not a good place, that automatically opens the door to you receiving the thoughts of a negative nature. So this is something that you need to be counteracting and working on, and become super sensitive about the actual fact that you are not in a good place, meaning that you are overhyped mentally and physically, which directly is linked to the level of stress that you are sustaining on a daily basis. Which then brings me quite nicely into the position 1, or the actual technique number 1. And that is, you must become aware that you are actually processing, not only consciously, but through actually feeling through your body, how your body actually feels at all the times. If you're feeling very strenuous and what have you, that means something is not right. You're processing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, that makes you feel out of place, and you need to do something to actually counteract it. So what you will need to do comes as a natural solution, and that is to become proficient in relaxation. So the proficiency in you actually achieving full physical relaxation will give you a very good standing point to not only combat stress, but also to actually start to become aware of the negative thoughts that are permeating in your conscious and subconscious spheres. And in so doing, you would then have a clear position from where you will be able to start and to do something to actually start to counteract that, in a sense of neutralizing their effect on your body. And this is what we are going to go into now to the position 2. So the position 1 is to become aware that you actually are having or processing negative thoughts, which links onto the previous video that talked about the actual provenance of the negative thoughts. That's the number 1. To do that, you need to become proficient about your complete mental and physical relaxation. That is number 1, because when you do that, you actually start to reduce your brainwave activity. And as you do so, as I've explained in previous videos, you're removing the fog that now clearly creates a veil around your so-called third eye, which doesn't give you a complete understanding as to where you are in relation to how you feel. In other words, it means you're not one. In your skin, you're processing something that doesn't have a 100% congruency with where you are here and now in your physical world, which means you might be sitting in your office doing your regular daily work, but in your mind you might be processing something that literally or mathematically speaking 70-80% of it is nothing to do with what you are actually meant to be doing here and now in your office. It could be dealing with your family, with your relationships, with your money issues, your health, God knows what. But not what you should be doing here. And I talked about already earlier, that is focusing on the present moment. So in other words, it means the starting point is focus on the present moment in order to start the process of complete mental and physical relaxation, in order to start to gain understanding of what is going on, to be able to analyze what's going on, and then to go on to now to the position 2, which is that you must then, from this position, when you have a clarity of what you're processing, no matter what it is, it can be anything, but whatever it is, it's not making you feel good. This is all that matters. We're not going to go into the infinity of options that don't make you feel good. Let's just take it this way, in the general terms. Whatever doesn't make you feel good means they're not meant to be there for you to process. As soon as you become aware of that, you then, this is the position 2 now, you need to then evaluate the impact that these negative thoughts are having on your life. I'll repeat once again. You need to evaluate the impact that these negative thoughts are having on your life here and now. So whatever it is that you are actually processing in any moment in time, and as I said earlier on, your effectiveness comes from whatever you do in the particular moment. You can process 2, 3, or 4 things at the same time, but as you are processing them, you're automatically reducing your efficiency in terms of what you need to be doing in order to achieve the results that you expect from yourself. If you do this unconsciously and you process so many things at the same time, and you measure yourself on the contribution that you're doing, and you're not achieving to what you need to achieve, that starts to create additional mental issues and sort of kind of like it actually accelerates and contributes towards the acceleration of the impact that your negative thoughts are having on you and your mental and physical structure. I don't know if that makes sense, but we all have expectations of what we want to do or where we want to be. And those expectations can only be done with a clear head and a clear focus on what you want, and you're doing something about it at the time when that needs to be done. If you're not 100% focused on the task, because you're actually processing so many other things whilst you're doing that particular important task, your efficiency is going down. So within the planned time frame, you are not achieving whatever you need to achieve, and that creates frustration. So you need to add more time, which you plan for something else. So to complete one task, it takes you longer. Instead of completing 2 tasks, maybe you're lucky to do 1 task instead of 3. And as that starts to compound, so you'll be now achieving 3 or 4 tasks instead of 10, 15. And then you can go mathematically on and on and on. You see what I'm trying to say? All that creates an enormous amount of frustration. And this is the impact that says on your life. This is what negative thoughts do to you. They reduce your ability in time or in a specific moment in time, such as this moment, to be effective in whatever you need to do. And if you're a person who has a quite strict calendar and a strict sort of set of tasks to be done on a specified time frame or a timeline, that's going to create a lot of stress, a lot of frustration. And all that is going to compound back and return and then reinforce and give more strength to your negative thoughts than it already did before. So for that reason, you must then become 100% cognizant of the impact that the negative thoughts are having on the quality of your life. Which now brings me to position number 3. As you're now fully aware of the impact or negative impact of negative thoughts, now you need in your mind, this is a mental exercise, because everything starts from you mentally seeing and mentally actually preparing yourself before you actually start doing it in the physical reality. What I'm trying to say is you now need to imagine what would it be like if you remove those negative thoughts, for an argument's sake, and just focus 100% on what you need to do. What the difference would then be on the quality of your life, your focus, your energy levels, your ability to relax mentally and physically, and with that to control the effectiveness of everything that you do, such as your decision making, your emotional understanding and dealing with your emotions more effectively, more subtly. All that forms part of your imagining what it would like, what difference would it make if you would be able to contain the impact of negative thoughts, and to basically start getting on top of the things that you need to do in order to start to improve the quality of your life. Sorry. This is the position number 3. Now we are going on to the position number 4, which is, instead of now imagining what it would be to be like, you need to now start to create a clear set of actions that you will do. For example, if you're doing some work in the office, all you will do is you will mentally see yourself only focusing whatever it is in front of you that needs to be done. But becoming mentally aware that you have negative thoughts, that you now know the actual provenance, that you know that what difference they make in your life, and so on and so forth. You now know what it means when you actually start to make a change. Now you are actually creating the change mentally by reframing. What reframing means, you're now seeing yourself in a position of empowerment. Meaning, you're no longer accepting to be the victim of negative thoughts, such as, I have a problem with my relationships, personal relationships with my wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, children. Now, I'm going to empower myself by analyzing everything that went through in the previous steps. What do I need to do in order to basically make an impact and change the situation that is currently taking me down, is bogging me down? What do I need to do differently that will, and then when you find the right solution for the situation, no matter what it is, either for instance, you have a problem with your partner, you identify the problem, you've seen the difference it makes in your life, how negatively it impacts, what would be if you look at the positive side, and now concrete set of actions, and you see them in your head, whatever it might be. You're going to start listening more, you will be more engaged, you'll be doing some things that you're not currently doing, but you envision that those different approaches will actually start to provide you with different results. And if they don't work, then something else will then lead you, or through this particular learning, you will then come up with something else, and then something else, until you finally find the winning formula that will enable you to resolve this particular situation. Why is this important? Because when you do all these things mentally, which is you're now taking the charge, you're now empowering yourself, you are automatically removing the so-called pre-programmed way in which you allow anything to come to the forefront of your conscious awareness. Don't be sort of like mistaken by the fact that you will completely eliminate negative thoughts. No, you will not. That's impossible, because they are 100% reliant on your energy levels and on the levels of your mental and physical relaxation. So every time you get stressed, they will come back with a vengeance. But you have a system with which you can counteract them all the time or every time. And the more you repeat these things, particularly reframing on the empowerment point, in where you are through the system of elimination, which is trial and denial, you will be finding the right solution for you to start to resolve the actual potential source of your negative thoughts. And the fifth one, which is equally important, what comes from the position 5, is that you maintain the positive focus on your reframed positions, which basically is more or less the same, but in this instance, it's about sustainability. Meaning, whatever you're doing on a singular cases, when you're reframing, you can only do it one at a time. On the position number 5, you're basically evaluating if the position 1 is producing results, yes or no. If it's no, then you're now looking for a replacement. And then you go to the same position as number 4, which is the working on it mentally. And then as you continue working on it, you're actually starting to mastermind the ways in which you can actually control all the situations that are currently bogging you down and are taking your power away from you. This is one of the most, I would say, strategically important positioning for you to start to kind of like always be on top of whatever it is that is coming your way, that is at this moment overwhelming you, putting you in a rather difficult position from which you have very little ability to protect yourself in every way. But through this increased ability through the process of deduction, you're actually finding the right ways in which your protection levels grow. And as you do so, you're now masterminding the situations that were previously having enormous weight, pushing you down all the time or bringing you down. Now you're able to basically control them. And as you continue doing so, which is the position 5, you will actually over time deal with them with much greater sort of grace and ability to disperse them at nearest occasion with the least amount of damage to you. But that requires time and regular practice. This is not going to come with the first exercise, with the first attempt. This is going to come through, like I said, if you look at the all 5, but the position 5 is very important because it actually dictates patience and sustainability until the end. This is how this works in a circle. And the more you do these things, the more you will empower yourself. And within natural empowerment, you will be increasing your bioenergy field, and with that, you will be increasing your own biological health, or physiological health, and that will contribute towards your complete mental and physical regeneration. Now, if you want to know about more about these and many other strategies that I teach, you can contact me on info@energy-savvy, savvy.com. You can also have a look at my website, which is www.energy-savvy.com. And also, if you have any questions or anything that was not clear during this video, by all means, please sort of put them down in the box below, and I will reply to any of your questions. And naturally, I will see you again in my next video. Until then, all the very best.